If you haven't been put off or triggered or annoyed or against anything that I've said in my videos so far, or at least in the last month since I kind of came back came back into making YouTube videos, if you haven't been upset with anything I've said so far, allow me to predict that you'll get upset with this video. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to bring up a topic that is the foundation of America. That is one of most the biggest things about America that we pride ourselves in, that we push for, um, and what I want to talk about is the topic of freedom. Why do I want to talk about freedom? Because I find that this is how would I describe this topic? I want to say it's a polarizing topic. It's a topic that is slave to paradox. It is um, I whatever I can say about it, I feel like, well, that's what I said about all my other topics. So like, why? It's like, but it's true. This is such a fascinating topic for me, as with the other videos that I've made, and it is fascinating. It's not a lie. I'm not exaggerating. The reason this is fascinating for me is because let's just rip the band-aid off, okay? We'll see how wrong I am with this statement, and then try to claw my way back by the end of the video and see how angry people get get at me. Freedom, as central as it is to America, as pivotal as it is for America, as as deeply ingrained as it is for America, freedom does not exist. I want that to sink in. Freedom does not exist. I put it in the same realm as tolerance. And when I say freedom and when I say tolerance, I mean a complete freedom. I mean complete tolerance. Does not exist. Why do I say that? Do I have evidence? Do I have science? Do I have data to back it up? No. It's a paradox. It doesn't exist because by its very nature, it contradicts itself. The only way to have tolerance propagate is to have intolerance for that which would not propagate tolerance. You have to have intolerance to have tolerance. You see what I'm saying? In order for freedom to propagate, you have to have certain things that are not free, certain things that are oh my gosh, what's the antonym of freedom? Do I need to look this one up? It's basically what you are bound to. I'm actually looking this up. Antonyms. Antonyms would be impotence, inability, restraint, I think. Yeah, even communism is actually one of the antonyms. I don't know how I want to describe the opposite of freedom, but I would just say it is not free. In order to have freedoms, you need certain restrictions. There, I'll use that one, restrictions. Being in a free country, I am not free to go and murder my neighbor. So how would you define freedom if I'm not free to do that? To be in a free country, I am not free to mistreat other people in any way. Now this might be like, okay, duh. I mean, like, whatever, man. Like, yeah, like, why do you got to be like so melodramatic about this? Like, don't. When you take it into a realm of being silly, then yeah, of course you can like technically argue that freedom doesn't exist. No, but I mean like the reality of this is catastrophic to find out where the line of freedom actually is. Because when it comes to maybe making rules and laws in society, when it comes to trying to make the right decisions on how to be ethical and how to be moral, We want to give people freedom. And because freedom, pure freedom, complete freedom doesn't exist, that means we have a gigantic spectrum of what everybody's opinion is on where that line should be drawn. Should that line be drawn on wearing a mask? If I'm not allowed to harm my neighbor, then technically, if me not wearing a mask puts my neighbor at risk of getting a disease, I'm harming my neighbor. So let's take that off the table. You have to wear masks. And this is freedom. Why? Because, there are certain things that can't be free. And harming your neighbor is one of them. Therefore, you have to wear a mask. Whoa, this gets very shaky. Is this freedom or is it not freedom? Right? So freedom in itself is a topic that I like to consider is, do I want to say paradoxical? I'm actually going to introduce a new word that I haven't really talked about much in my videos, and that's fallacy, fallaciousness. Maybe like freedom to believe in freedom or to push for freedom or to advocate freedom, to fight for freedom is fallacious. The reason I'm going to say that is because wherever our line is, we can defend that line. Why am I saying you have to wear a mask and I'm calling that freedom? Because there's my explanation. Because just because you're free doesn't mean you can harm somebody else. Or if I go the other way, I shouldn't have to wear a mask because that's against my freedoms. And just because you think that it harms somebody, we don't actually know. And there's science out there that says that it doesn't harm people. And you're infringing on my freedom. So two opposing forces that both fight for freedom can somehow be at odds. I mean, don't we find this to be at least a little bit strange? So the reason why I pick on the word freedom is because there are topics in society that we like to sort of hone in on and be like, dude, this is so silly why this group of people would think this, because it can't, this thing can't even exist. Tolerance can't even exist. What? So like you're going to claim to be tolerant, but then whenever I want to come in and like wreak havoc on your event, you're going to kick me out. How's that tolerance? And we can look at that and say how silly and how dumb it is and how hypocritical it is. But the very core and the very root of America, let me put it this way. If it's true that freedom itself is fallacious, that freedom itself invokes a paradox, then that means the root of America, the foundation of America, land of the free, home of the brave. That means America's foundation is fallacious. America's foundation is built on a paradox. But let's say I'm being a bit harsh. Okay. This is where I might leave on asking you, the audience. If freedom isn't fallacious, isn't a paradox, if it's very clear cut on what freedom is, tell me, what is freedom then? What is the objective, indisputable explanation? I try to keep it short. If you're gonna give me a comment, maybe like 100 words or less. But what is it? What is it that if I were to, and when I say objective, when I say indisputable, I mean like if I were to give the math equation 2 + 2 = 4, and I give it to any person, tribe, gender, age, whatever, throughout history, and I gave the equation 2 plus 2, and I gave it to somebody and explained to them, maybe I had to explain to them how math works. If you got two apples and two apples, when you put them together, what's the answer? And I didn't give them the answer. Across society, across history, across the spectrum, everybody will answer 4. Everybody will answer 4. I think everybody will answer 4. I have to put in that, I have to give it as like an opinion because I don't want people to be like, well, technically, da, 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 da. But I think it's very accurate to say that everybody will say 4. It's objective. If I give those same people across the spectrum throughout existence the word freedom and say, what does it mean? You're going to get different answers. And that to me is something very big and worth thinking about. Well, that's it this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.